guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Showmi Mary or Shifoduri, and this is Showmi O'Clock. On Showmi O'Clock, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about living in the UK, we talk about everything as regards midwifery and nursing sometimes, because I'm a midwife by profession and I work in the UK. So on today's video, I am going to be talking about the 48-hour rule. You know, I've never heard of this before. I didn't even see it as a big deal till a colleague of mine sent it to our group, and was kind of, people were panicking and asking what's this all about, what are we talking about. Then I was like, what's this? Okay, I was like, okay, I read the article, I checked online and I saw something. I was like, okay, this is not bad. I understood what the article meant again. So looking again into my comments on one of the videos I've made, someone made mention this 48-hour 17 weeks rule, and I was like, okay, so this is really 18. So let me talk about it too. First of all, reassure you, and also let us open it, let's dice it, and let's talk about this rule. So what's this 48-hour rule? So here in the UK, we know that the UK government always looks out for either you are the employer, either you are the employee, or the UK government is concerned with everyone generally that is living in their country. So unlike African countries where I come from, if you like, work every day of the week, Monday to Friday, nobody cares about you, nobody's looking out for you, nobody's fighting for you, nobody's saying anything. Even some organizations, for example, where my sister works, the working pattern is really bad. I do not like it. The working pattern is so bad. But who are you going to talk to? You can't talk to your HR. No one is going to stand up for you. And that's the bad thing about some of these African countries, working in a private organization in an African country. So here in the UK, this 48-hour rule is a maximum number of hours that you should work. And on an average, if it is being looked at for 17 weeks, you should have worked 48 hours. So what this says is that in a year, when they pick 17 weeks randomly, the average number of hours that you should have worked is 48 hours. That's the maximum number of hours. So what is this saying? This is saying that so that you can have time to rest, so that you can protect your mental health, so that it can even prevent you from burning out. That is why this rule is being made. It's purposely to protect you and to prevent exploitation. You know, before I even heard of this rule, someone on my Twitter DM'd me with a form and said our employer was trying to get her to sign out of this 48-hour maximum rule. And I was wondering, I'm working 37.5 hours actually as a full-time, and I am exhausted. Now imagine I'm working 48 hours. Imagine how exhausted and how exhausting it's going to be. So I told her, you know what, do not sign this form. You don't need to sign it. You're not under any compulsion to sign it. Do not sign this form. And after a while, when she came to the UK, she realized that, oh, thank you so much for telling me not to sign this form, because it is actually very busy over here, even when she's working 48 hours. So what is this rule made? What is this rule, and what does it comprise of? So this rule, I'm on the UK government and I'm reading out from there. It says that you cannot work more than 48 hours a week on average, normally average over 17 weeks. So this says sometimes, for example, people that are doing calls, you know, there's some people that they prefer to like work 2 weeks and rest 2 weeks. So this is saying that even though you work more than 48 hours in 1 week, but when it is looked at over a period of 17 weeks, the average hours that you should have worked should be less than 48 hours, should not be more than 48 hours. So if you are under 18, your rule is different. You will be working under the 40 hours limit, but if you're over 18, you're working under the 48-hour limit. So this is also called the working time regulation. You can choose to work more by opting out of this 48 hours. That is what is written on the government's website. So remember the story I was saying about a lady that got a care job from Nigeria, and our employer sent her a form to opt out of this 48-hour rule, which I advised her not to opt out against. So that means you can choose, but it should be in writing. If you want to opt out of this rule, it must be in writing. But I'm not really sure if opting out applies to tier 2 visa holder, because the what really brought up this topic, or what brought this topic to my mind, is because of someone somewhere that I do not know about was denied an ILR based on this 48-hour rule. I don't know how true it is. I don't know if that is the only implication of being getting denied the ILR, which is the indefinite leave to remain. But on here it says you can opt out of the 48-hour rule. So you have some exemptions. You might work more than 48-hour week on an average if you work in a job where 24-hour staffing is required, in the armed forces, emergency service of police service, in security and surveillance, as a domestic servant working in a private household, as a seafarer or sea fisherman, where working time is not measured and you are in control. For example, managing executive with control over your own decision. In fact, I didn't even see the where 24-hour staffing is required. For example, we work in hospitals, 24 staffing hours are required. Are we really bound under this rule? I didn't even see this coming, so I'm not really sure. But if we are still, like, let's assume we are bound to work under this 48 hours rule, so what are we looking at? The first thing is kind of calculate how many hours you're working. For example, I said it that I'm working 37.5 hours. That's my official hours, my full-time hours per week, and 150 hours per month. If I'm checking my rota over 17 weeks, and they average it, median average, all those statistics, that is, if they put the number of hours you work on each week and they average it divided by 17 weeks, the average number of hours you should work is 48 hours, provided we are being bound by this rule. So this means that you can work more than 48 hours in 1 week, as long as the average over 17 weeks is less than 48 hours a week. So this means that you can work more than 48 hours 1 week, and as long as the average is over 17 weeks is less than 48 hours, you're good to go. For example, my manager puts me, my December rota, my manager puts me 4 days a week. Normally I work 4 day a week. Normally, to cover up for my 150 hours, I usually work 3 times a week, and in 1 week out of the month I work 4 times in that week, depending on how I pick my rota. But in December, my manager puts me working 4 times in a week for the first 2 weeks, and twice a week for the next 2 weeks, so that my break in between during the festive period was a lot. Like, for example, I had off from like 28th to 30th or to 31st. I had off from like 20th to 24th, so it was quite a lot of off in between. So if they count the number of hours you're working over 17 weeks, you should not work more than 48 hours. You have exemptions. Some jobs have different reference period. For example, trainee doctors. So if you're a doctor, they would calculate your own average over a 26 week. That's because they do calls, and the way their rota is very, very different. Some people do 24 hours call. Their hours are so different, so that's why they have a different reference period. And also the offshore oil and gas sector, they have a 52-week reference. That's because when they go onshore, they like work for like maybe 2 months, then come back, you understand? So they've given them grace so that they do not overwork themselves. So this rule is basically protecting yourself from exploitation. So how do we know? Because one of the things I was thinking is that if they say we should not work more than 48 hours in over 17 weeks, what if, because normally your annual leave counts, like your annual leave would count in your rota, in your own rota, because you are being paid for the annual leave. Do you understand? So I was thinking, so if I'm being paid for the annual leave and I'm working extra shifts during my annual leave, does that mean that they are going to count double hours for me? I was really confused until I read this article. So what counts as work hour? What counts as work hour would include job related training, time spent traveling if you travel as part of your job, work lunch, for example, if you are being invited out for a work lunch, time spent working abroad, paid overtime. That is, you are working overtime, extra hours, you understand? Paid overtime also counts. Your NHSP counts, your agency job counts. Unpaid overtime if you're being asked to do it, time spent on call at workplace, any time that is treated as working time under your contract, and travel between home and work at the start and end of working day if you do not have a fixed place of work. For example, if you're supposed to travel from one place to another, maybe a supervising job and all of that, and it's still under your working hour, that will also count. What does not count as work? The time you spend on call away from the workplace, break when no work is done, for example, your lunch break, traveling outside of normal working hours, that's your business. Unpaid overtime you volunteered for example, staying late to finish something, or for example, if you choose to stay at work, nobody sent you, you choose to stay back at work, that is on you. It doesn't count as your working hour. Paid or unpaid holiday. You see that? That is where the answer to my question comes in. That is, my annual leave does not count as working hours. So if I still choose to work during my working hours, which is going to be counted, it's still like, I'm still going to meet up with this 48 hours rule. So travel to and from work if you have a fixed place of work. So now listen, if you have more than one job, your combined working hours should not be more than 48 hours on an average. So for example, if you are being employed, if you are doing a second job, you know, they count NHSP. They used to literally count NHSP as a second job, or if you have an agency job as a second job. So if you are working with agency and you're working with your trust, the combined hours that you spend should not be more than 48 hours in 17 weeks. Why reading this? I was just thinking, people have strength too, because me, I do not have that strength. That 48 hours, if I want to work it, it's by force, by fire. It's only if something is sending me or I'm sending something, that's when I will work, try and work, even working extra hours to do 48 hours. It's a lot. That means if you're working 8-hour shifts, you're working 6 times a week. 6 times a week. If you're working 12-hour shifts like me, you are working 4 times a week, which I can tell you is stressful. So what me I'm going to advise, so what I think, coming to a concession with this that me I've read and saying, see, if the person was kind of denied ILR just because the person was working above 48 hours a week, and we all want to be safe and we want to work 48 hours a week, I would advise that stick to the 48 hours per week. So if you work 5 days or 4 days in one week, the next week don't work that same hours. You are going to burn out. Don't tell me you are always working every day round the clock. That is, you're working 7 times a day, 7 days a week. That will kill you. That will kill you. Make you grow old quickly. You're prone to a lot of diseases because you're not resting well. So this is a rule to protect yourself. It's not about the government. It's not about your employer. It is protecting you from exploitation, because some organization will want you to work. It just kind of guards you. Do you understand? So I really feel that no matter the extra hours that you want to work, if you are on your annual leave, 4 shifts, 4 12-hour shifts in a week is enough. It's enough for you. So this rule, I don't think it affects me, and I don't think it should affect you if you are working appropriately. If you're working appropriately, because your annual leave does not count in your working hours. So if you're working a paid like overtime in your annual leave, you should still be able to stick. I really believe that you should still be able to stick to your 48 hours. So it says you can choose to opt out of this 48 hours week protection. You can choose to work more than 48 hours on an average. Your employer can also ask you to opt out, but you cannot be sacked, treated unfairly because you refuse to do so. Just like I advised the lady not to sign that contract because she wasn't even used to, she had not even left Nigeria when they sent her that form. Just like I advised her not to sign, you can also choose not to sign it, and you can also choose to opt out if you want to. So workers who cannot opt out of 48 hours week, that is, you must compulsorily do this: airline staff, a worker on ship or boat, a worker on road transport, other staff who travel and operate vehicles, a security guard on a vehicle carrying and high value goods. These are the people which, like, their services are very, very, like, they are prone to having accidents a lot, and that's why they've told them they cannot opt out. They must be under this rule. Do you understand? So canceling an opt-out agreement, you can also cancel the agreement if you have already signed out of this agreement 48-hour rule in your workplace. You can also cancel it. But even if it is part of your employment contract, but you must give your employer at least 7 days notice. You may have to give up to 3 months notice just to sign out, but your employer cannot force you to cancel your opt-out agreement. For example, you want more money and you already opted out of your 48-hour protection. If you choose not to opt out, your employer cannot force you to opt out. For example, they want to say you are taking too much shifts, all of that, they cannot force you to opt out. But if you are in and you want to opt out, they cannot also force you to stay because they are understaffed or they need more ends or all of that. They cannot force you to stay. So reading all of this, it's really, really good. I really like it. And when they first sent it, I was quite concerned that how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect my people? But reading this, going through everything they've talked about it, I didn't even check only the Gov website. I also checked other websites to compare the information. It just says that work responsibly. Like, even though we are bound under this rule, which it doesn't state that you are bound under this rule, but also remember the rule of your tier 2 visa. So your tier 2 visa, if you're working in another job or you're working under another sponsor, remember that you cannot work more than 20 hours. But if you're working with your sponsor and you're doing overtime, you can work more than 20 hours. For example, if you watch my previous video about the updates in working, I'm just going to tag it somewhere. You make sure you watch that, about the rule that I talked about, where I explained in details when you can work more than 20 hours and when you cannot work more than 20 hours. Just watch that. I'm going to attach it here. So please do not panic, do not be scared, because there was a lot of like rush, like what do we do, who do we call, and getting to learn more about this show. I just realized that it's more of a benefit rather than a deficit for tier 2 holders. So if you've watched this video to this end and you love this video, give this video a thumbs up, please, and please give this video a thumbs up. Comment under this section if you found this video helpful for you. The reason why I'm asking you to comment is that once you comment and you like this video, YouTube tends to push this video further to more people that might likely watch this video, which translates to more subscribers. So please try to give me a thumbs up and drop a comment in the section below. And also feel free to ask any questions that you want to ask about anything, and I am here to help you. I'm happy to help you with your questions. My Instagram handle is at @noshowomi. I reply most of my DMs once I am free. So if you also want me to talk about any topic or you have any question, feel free to answer either on my comment section or on my Instagram handle. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, share with your friends and family, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos I'm posting this year. Till we meet again in our next video. Bye for now.